and seconded by Mayor Nigel. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, so we'll move to reports and actions register. I think we just had the one on there, didn't we? Which is our ongoing Agintoia Art Gallery. So that is now complete, so just acknowledging that. So we will receive and note the action register. Can I have a move for that? Thank you, Councillor Pye, seconded by Mayor Nigel. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, I'll hand over to Beth. Report 8.2, Community Services Group Up.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. This is just the standard update report that we are providing to the Community Services Committee every time we meet. There are no really significant updates other than we have provided additional information for the district pools opening season, and to inform you that we will provide a summary of all of that data once the summer season is completed as well. So I'll take the report as read and happy to field any questions that may come from elected members.
Councillor Pye.
I spoke with you about this yesterday, Beth, but when you come back with the final report for the pools, could we have a report based on the number of days that the pool is open, or the number of hours? Because obviously, if the Pleasant Point pool, for example, is only open half the number of days of the Geraldine pool, that's going to affect the daily rate of attendance.
More than happy to include that in the final report. I can also provide a verbal update as of today, or sorry, the 1st of March. The district pools at the time of writing have been open for a total of 119 days. I can confirm that the Temuka pool was closed for 1 day with 2 early closures, Pleasant Point for 4 days with 4 early closures, and Geraldine for 1 day with 4 partial. And just for point of reference, Pleasant Point in particular closed on the 6th of February last year. And Temuka was reduced to 4 days a week significantly over the last season as well. But I'll make sure that all of those statistics are included in the final report next month.
Thanks, Beth. I've had some really good feedback on those new digital signs, or the digital sign on Stafford Street. So that is excellent, and they look great. Just curious about whether or not we could have more of those in the, thank you, Stephen. Places like the Piazza, for example, would be a pretty good location, I would think. Maybe at the Landing Services building.
Kia ora. The outdoor ones are quite expensive to do. It's the weatherproofing and stuff like that, and making them reflective. There's the thought that we could actually get some reasonably cheap ones and put them in council facilities. We could expand the network then and do it reasonably cheaply. But I mean, it's just a matter of funding if we wanted to put them elsewhere. Probably the biggest challenge is getting power to the site, because it has to be on 24 hours. It can't run off the street light circuit, because the screen has to be on when the street lights are off. So doesn't really work that way, but it's something we could look into. But I'd like to look at options to get them into council facilities, because it's the kind of philosophy behind it is that we can't expect people to come to us to get information, so it's getting information to places they go, like CBay and the library and stuff like that.
A great way to keep people connected, I think. I think the running costs are about $500 a year, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, the remote management software is about $500 a year, and then it's a monthly 4G plan, because it runs completely off the network, so not massively, and there's a bit of electricity in there as well. So, I mean, say a single press ad's about $900, so I mean, it doesn't take long to kind of pay for itself that way.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty good bang for buck.
Just the Agintoia Art Gallery, you mentioned in your report that heritage experts have been contracted.
We haven't got to that stage yet, Councillor Booth. Let's just close out the update report. Any further questions? Okay. Oh, yes.
Sorry, apologise through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the team that represented TDC at the Multicultural Aoraki Festival. Some staff members putting aside their Saturday it was, sorry, so long ago, Saturday, both across climate but also the facility. So really cool to see those representative and just a great reminder to the community of the cool stuff that we do, and I know there's some cool recommendations that came out of that too. So thank you for their participation in that.
Thank you, Mayor Nigel. Yes, absolutely. It was. I heard through, all the community that attended it. It was well supported, and it was a great day. So yeah, well done to all the people that organised that amazing festival in our community. Okay, if we have no further questions, we will receive and note the Community Services Group update report. I have a move, Mayor Nigel, and seconded by Councillor Shannon. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, moving to report 8.3, Agintyre House Gallery Seismic Repairs Report. And welcome Nicole and Matt to the table.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair, councillors and members of the community boards. We tabled the latest update, which will be every 6 weeks through these standing committees. And bearing in mind that this information does cover the February, but we will give you an update of the last couple of weeks of things that have been happening on site. So what I will do is actually hand over to Matt, because he's handling everything on the ground, and we'll be able to answer any questions or bring you up to date now, or I can take further questions.
Thank you. Yes, so we have, as per the report, we've finally got the roof off the house and have done some, cleaned it up. There was 119 years of birds and nests up there. We carried out a quick assessment of the roof and did find live borer up there, which we didn't find downstairs. We found dead borer downstairs. Initial meetings with the structural engineer came up with a repair strategy that was kind of inefficient. So we were thinking along the line of removing the roof to dispose of the risk of the borer. That's kind of when this report was written. An update on that is that we've now done further investigation, basically cutting some members apart and drilling holes and having pest specialists there and so forth. So we are working on a plan, which I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to attempt to try and save as much of the heritage feature as we can. Hopefully in the next report I'll have a more definitive answer of what that is. We just met with the architect yesterday on site. But overall, that wasn't unexpected. We knew there may potentially be this problem up on the roof, so it's not out of the blue, and we did have process to deal with this. So apart from that, the building is now completely stripped as far as it's going to go, and not finding really much more. So yeah, quite positive.
Yeah, so what level of activity with the borer? Is it like right throughout the whole lot, or is it just in parts, or is it a minor?
So I've learnt a lot about borer in the past week. It likes warm, hates cold. So what we found downstairs in the veranda was the last 300 mil of the roof rafters closest to the gutter was where it was. Apart from go further up, there was nothing. We found the same upstairs, but it's a bit warmer upstairs, so they've travelled further up the rafters. There are some rafters that it's all the way to the top, but it's concentrated down the bottom. In cutting open some of the timbers yesterday, we found and I'm speaking to Heritage New Zealand, years ago they made a mistake on the east coast of the South Island, and they built with sap rimu, which is soft wood, not the heartwood. So the borer loves that. So when we cut some open yesterday, you could see in a rafter where the heartwood was, not a single piece of borer, but round the outside, a little 20 mil strip round the outside was borer. So when you look at that without cutting it, it looks like it's full of borer. That's what we're trying to determine, is what is the structural strength of it and what can be saved and stuff. The pest control are very, very confident they can treat the borer that's there. It was used, a similar process was used at the Nelson School of Music, which is a heritage building as well, and our architect worked on that building. So once I got everyone's opinions on where we were at, we're now starting to formulate a plan, but initially it was no surprises. This is what it could potentially be, so, yeah.
I guess I assumed that during some of the evaluation of the building that someone would have climbed into the roof and actually had a look.
Yeah,
And at that stage potentially bombed you would normally treat the borer, wouldn't you?
It would need a man smaller than you and I to get where this borer is. It is right out at the edge of the roof. We knew there was borer there, but in a dark, dusty roof cavity with, as I say, 119 years of dust and bird nests, it's hard to see if it's active or not. Now we've pulled it apart. We're accessing areas that you would never have got to anyway, and that's where we're seeing the majority of the live active borer.
Just to add to that, it was anticipated that there would have been some type of borer or some effect. So I presume there was a PC sum, or rather than from contingency for that foresight. So it was anticipated. Further questions?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. My only question is how this, does this hold up the overall process? Because that was always our concern around overruns with this project. So does it keep it on track? Or?
So if we were to replace the roof, there's an 8-week lead time on the members that need to be made for it. As I say, next report I will be able to report definitively and give you definitive answers on where we're at. What you see now is the worst case scenario, right? We're working to come back from that. It is still borderline within the contingency of the project time-wise, but yes, so we're trying to pull that back.
So just follow up, so how, within the contract, are we protected with the overall contractor if there's an over 8-week overrun? How do we manage that? Yeah, so...
Yes, so contractually we have arrangements for payments, or at times if we find and discover something like this that's out of their control and our control, there are mechanisms within the contract to handle that, yes.
I would question that Farrell Construction will be putting in an extension of time claim,
Yes, they will. But
which is what me and
yeah.
Nigel was getting to.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
there will be.
yes, but there are mechanisms to handle that within, because it's an unknown. We knew that it was something work, so what we're doing now is working on, if we don't remove all of the wood and we're able to treat it, then we bring that timeline back, and we're within the timelines that we've agreed contractually. It's only if we don't expediently work through and it moves outside of that timeline, then there is an extension of time that would come.
It'll be good to receive that report at the next standing committee with all of that detail to extension of time claims or whatever that extension may equate to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I was just after clarification. So when you talk about rafters, are you talking about the structures around the trusses, or is this something that is exposed?
So it's within the roof cavity. These old buildings don't have trusses, so to speak, as we know. It's got rafters and a ridge beam. Right. So it's the rafters and some of the ridge beams that have the borer in it, the active borer in it. And there are sections that, because we're doing some modifications to the house anyway, we're going to be taking some of these out by course. We're now just working out what else we need to take out with it.
So you're not compromising or even thinking about compromising, because you talked about the heritage, trying to maintain the heritage. The structural changes wouldn't be seen anyway, would they?
They're not going to be seen, but there's some beautiful large beams up on the roof that we'd like to keep anyway. And yeah, just to keep it as heritage as possible, yeah.
Okay, I just had one further question, and my sincere apologies, Nicole, that I haven't raised this earlier. I just noted that the project budget was sitting at 3.7, but when I reviewed tender and procurement, we approved 2.5 something, and I just wondered how that fits with project budget versus approval.
So I apologise, I will have to go back. The number that we were given at the time that Nigel was in the seat at GM was the 3.7. So I will go back to finance and just double check where that 200,000 difference is. It may, and then I will update that or bring that to the next committee.
Sorry to raise that, I just, transparency.
Yeah, it has always been my awareness that 3.7 was the amount,
Yeah.
but I will come back to you and confirm.
Yeah, just tender and procurement, I'm not quite sure that's what was approved at that level.
I think they're two different things. I think the 3.7 was the overall budget, the
That
tender,
including like fit out and,
that was the total,
yeah.
So it's the whole
whereas
project.
the contract is only a proportion of that.
The contract was 1.7 million.
Yes, yes.
And then there was all the professional fees, contingencies,
And other
et
items
cetera,
on
et
top,
cetera.
yeah, yeah.
Just, it would be good to get just some visibility on what actually is in what we're working towards.
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you. Right, any further questions? Councillor Oliver?
Madam Chair, was there not a component that there was going to be some fundraising for this, or did that there was no component of that? Just asking that question.
No, so my recollection was when the projects were joint and there was talk of the new art gallery, then I believe there was conversation around fundraising, but not just for the house itself. That's my recollection. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt and Nicole. So we will receive a note, not that one. We will receive and note the progress report. I will move that, seconded by Councillor Oliver. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Consideration of urgent business items. Oh, there's none of those, so I can close the meeting at 12:40. 11:40? Oh, sorry, might need new glasses there.